Hey guys, welcome to Dinosaur Valley State Park. Came out to do a one-night trip, and this is my brother-in-law Luke. He's coming with us on this trip, and this is his first backpacking trip, and we're getting ready for something a little bit bigger next month. So we're coming out trying to get some miles in today. The trails are actually closed at Dinosaur Valley today, and that's because it rained pretty much all night last night and all morning this morning. So they closed the trails, but and don't quote me on this if this is for you, but they said they normally allow, if you have reservations at the primitive campsites on the north side of the park, to go ahead and come on in, and you can still backpack even though they have all the trails closed to everyone else. So we pretty much got the whole park to ourselves. Saw one person a while ago, and it should have all the trails to ourselves as well. So going to be a really cool experience out here, and the weather cleared up. It's a sunny afternoon, should be pretty nice. We're doing the equestrian loop right now just to add some more mileage to our trip, and I don't know, but the earlier part that we were on was fine. We've gotten to some pretty sloppy sections. We're sliding around quite a bit in this, and shoes completely caked in mud. It'll be nice to get off this and be able to scrape some of that off so our feet don't weigh 5 pounds each. So we just got done with the equestrian loop, and that was a big muddy mess, but it really wasn't too bad. I'm glad we did that. I got to check out the South primitive sites I've never seen before, and they're actually fairly nice. Now we are headed down to cross the river. All right, we made it to the river crossing. This is a different one than what you normally see me go across. This is over by where the actual dinosaur tracks are. We may be able to find some down in here, but they said the river crossing, like what Caden and I did a couple weeks ago, is about not quite knee deep, but fairly deep. Oh, the water's pretty cold. So actually wearing sandals on this hike specifically for this, because I was pretty sure I was going to get my feet wet. Well, we made it across. Not really challenging at all, but it was a pretty fun little crossing. The water is freezing, and we actually are both taking some layers off right now. I took off my thermal shirt. Man, this morning it was cold and raining, and now it is probably in the 60s and just partially cloudy. It turned out to be really nice. Anyway, I was trying to find some tracks in the water. The water's up a little bit, but I found a couple, but nothing that would look real good on video. Anyway, so we're gonna head up now on this side of the river and head up toward the main overlook. Well, I kind of lied. Well, I don't know, I didn't. I said we were headed toward the overlook, and we were, but then I realized that was the way we were supposed to come back in the morning. So we turned around, and now we are headed on the Cedar Break outer loop, and we're gonna take this over to, I believe, the Blackcap Burial Trail, and cut across through there. So the way I thought we were headed today is how we'll come back in the morning, and that's just to work the mileages out so it comes out about right. Seems like it's getting a little more cloudy. Well, we made it to Dinosaur Creek. We just came across the Blackcap Burial Trail, and a little bit of water here, tiny bit trickling down. As soon as we got on the Blackcap Trail, it got really cloudy and got pretty cold. Definitely not as warm as it was earlier. Kind of wishing I would have kept my thermal shirt on. Anyway, we're going to head up Dinosaur Creek and filter some water here in a few minutes, and then head over to campsite number 4. Well, we got our water, and we've gone about 7.5 miles so far, and I would say we probably have a mile, maybe less. I'm just kind of guessing. Headed from campsite number 2, where that little creek was, over toward campsite number 4, and it's about 4 o'clock, so doing fairly good on time. Should have plenty of light, be able to set up. And Luke's staying in a tent tonight, and I brought my hammock, so I'll show you what that looks like here in just a little bit. All right, we made it to campsite number 4. This will be our site for the night. Sounds like it's gonna be pretty breezy tonight, but hopefully most of these trees block most of that wind. We're getting our shelter set up. There's my tarp right there. That's a Warbonnet Cloudburst. Got it set up. Don't have my hammock up yet. Had to stop and put on my jacket. The wind has really picked up, and it is freezing ever since we stopped moving. There's Luke setting up his tent back there in the back, and he's using my trekking poles to hold it up, which actually worked out pretty well. He accidentally forgot his poles, but that looks like it's working out all right. Anyway, gonna get my hammock set up, and I'll show you what I'm staying in tonight. Warbonnet Ridge Runner hammock. I've had a couple of these before, but this is a new one to me. It's a double layer, and I've got my Big Agnes SLX pad in there for my bottom insulation, and then my Go-Lite Ultra 20 quilt that I always use for my top quilt. This is a Warbonnet Cloudburst tarp with the outside pole mod. That really helps out a lot. For my suspension, it is a Beckett hitch, and so no titanium or anything like that. Then I just got a piece of polycryo on the ground, place I can spread out all my stuff. And so gonna be testing this system out for a bigger trip for a couple weeks from now. We got our place over here where we are gonna cook dinner, and then Luke's got his tent over there. And it got significantly colder when we got here, and probably got maybe an hour worth of light left, so we're gonna cook dinner here pretty quick and try to stay warm. Making I guess basically like buffalo chicken sliders. I think they turned out pretty good. And I'm gonna make some coffee up in my stove. Try to warm up just a little bit. Get my nice hot cup of coffee, which is really nice right now. Heating up some more water. I'm gonna have beans and Fritos tonight with some hot sauce, and you have to check this out, what Luke's cooking up now. So he had the buffalo chicken sliders with toasted buns. He's got some hot chocolate back there, and now he is heating up a little mini pie on his stove. He's definitely eating a lot better than me. He's eating really well on this first trip. Well, it's starting to get kind of dark out here. Just had dinner. The beans and Fritos turned out pretty well. And just gonna have a little bourbon, try to stay warm. We both just put on a little bit more of our warm layers. And I'll have to show you my socks with sandals. Those look really nice. Anyway, I'll do one final check-in right before bed. That's pretty much it for the night. Just gonna drink some bourbon and hang out. Pretty good night. I'll do it for the night. Gonna get in the hammock and hopefully stay warm. I will see you in the morning. Good morning, everybody. Slept pretty well last night. Stayed really windy all night, and then got down to the upper 30s with wind chills in the upper 20s. We were both kind of right there on the edge of being too cold or being fine. It really wasn't too terrible or anything. Kind Got my tarp taken down. We're kind of packing up right now. Really doesn't feel too bad. Feels like the wind might have died down just a little bit. About to boil some water for breakfast. I'm just having oatmeal and coffee. And then Luke brought the breakfast scramble from Mountain House. And gonna have some coffee as well. So we're gonna get that going and try to warm up a little bit. If you want one that's wider than that, you have to get like a large size. That's like a regular size. So like a large size is 25 inches wide. It's like 5 more inches. I sleep on my side a lot, so my arms will be on the pad no matter what. So we're kind of getting a late start this morning. I woke up at 6 and kind of laid in my tent, and I was kind of waiting for the sun to come up, and next thing I know, I woke up and it was 8:15. So pretty late start. We're got everything packed up and gonna hit the trail. I think we have somewhere around 7 miles or so on the way out. All right, here we go on the Cedar Ridge Trail. Gonna head toward the river, hit that overlook on that side, and then start on the Cedar Break outer loop back around the other side of the park. Well, we made it to the overlook. This is the same overlook that Caden and I came to a few weeks back. Definitely colder right now. That wind hit us as soon as we walked up to the edge. Now we're gonna head on toward the Cedar Break outer loop, and we should be on that overlook that's over there across the park here in just a little bit. The creek that we stopped at back there was Buckeye Creek, and just topped our water off real quick. Not quite as much water in there as like Dinosaur Creek, but does have some good flowing water in it. And we are headed around the Cedar Break outer loop trail right now. Well, the trails are definitely way less muddy than they were yesterday. We were sliding around quite a bit, and our feet were getting caked up with mud quite a bit yesterday. It really hadn't been a problem at all so far today. Of course, this Cedar Break outer loop's really rocky, but the sections that have been dirt really hadn't been too bad. It's dried out quite a bit, so I would assume they would open the trails either today or tomorrow. But this has been really cool being the only people out here, and I'd be shocked if we came across another person. We just made it to the fence line section. We'll walk across this fence line all the way across the back side of the park. We finally had to stop to shed some layers. Took our jacket off, and started getting pretty hot actually. I think the main thing was that the wind is being blocked mostly, but definitely warming up. My feet, even just wearing sandals, have been fine ever since we've been walking. I wore socks last night and then took them off this morning and been totally fine. It's almost about noon and the sun finally coming out. Starting to feel pretty warm. Being in these trees, if the wind's blocked and you get over in the sun, it actually feels kind of hot. We don't have too much more to go on this trail. Making our way up toward our second overlook for today. Finally made it to the overlook, and check out this view. River looks super cool down there, flowing quite a bit. See a few cars in the parking lot, so there's a few more people out here today than there were yesterday. So we really don't have too much farther to go. Basically dropping down the side of this hill over toward our left, and then just this side of the river is a trail we'll end up taking back down right out toward the center of the shot right now, and then that's where the crossing's at, cross back across. It's a little bit better view of the river now that we've dropped down from the actual overlook a little bit. Made it back down to the river. All we gotta do is cross right here and head up the hill and we'll be done.
I'm pretty good on yeah, that felt much better. Yeah, that water's freezing.
Well, we just about made it back to the truck. And according to All Trails, which I used for the first time on this trip, we did about 15.5 miles with a little over 1,100 feet in elevation gain, which over 15 miles isn't that much. But anyway, it was a good trip. We got to test out some gear, definitely figure out something different to do for our trip here coming up in a few weeks, and excited to go on that one. So anyway guys, thanks for following along, and we'll see you next time.